What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored. Essentially, our favorite topic, which is freedom. We talk about how to turn your sales and marketing skills into a life of freedom. That's kind of the theme of the show. So we're going to talk to someone that's really built a life of incredible freedom. He's actually working on a by-country lifestyle as we speak, and we have a really amazing for the point. My co-host is with me actually this time. I just recorded one without him, and now I get to have him in the co-pilot seat. The junior grandmaster himself, Greg McDaniel. What's up today?
Well, Matt, I have to ask you a quick question. Here I am. What are your other two wishes in life? Okay.
Well, I guess if I wish away twice, does that make it more effective?
It does. It actually it compounds. Okay. But seriously, in our pre-show conversations, it was an incredible opportunity to kind of learn about our guest and kind of what he's doing and what he's built, where he lives, how he lives his life, his mindset, his goals. And personally, I'm taking notes. I gotta tell you, I'm taking notes, and I find you incredibly inspirational, and I hope other folks will as well. Actually, let me take that back. I know other people are going to find you incredibly inspirational because the one thing you've said multiple times is freedom. And I think that's what everybody looks for. They want freedom, whatever that means for them. If that's the Lambo, if it's the big house, if it's traveling, if it's property ownership, if it's passive income. But you have defined freedom for your life. And that's why I made Matt make me come on this show. Because I'm like, I have to talk to this man. Matt's like, no, I have to talk to him all by myself. I'm like, no, Matt, you can't hoard this man by yourself. I have to be a part of it. And so we let me in.
Well, I'm glad he
Well,
did.
with that, yeah, I was going to say, Maurice, well, officially welcome to the show with that crazy introduction.
I appreciate it.
So, listeners, the kind of 10,000-foot view of what you do is former executive by day, police officer by night, turned investor, now completely free of the W-2 world. We're going to get into that and why you've chosen, when you finally chose to leave that behind. But you've essentially built up, you've acquired all these apartment complexes, you've done millions upon millions of dollars in real estate investment and acquisition, all this fun stuff. And you talk about 5 freedoms, and we'll get into what those 5 freedoms are. So this is going to be an amazing conversation. Let's, what I'm curious about now, especially now that you're kind of out of the W-2 world of being an employee or partner, when you run into somebody now, what do you tell them that you do?
Oh man, I no.
Now that you're an independently wealthy man about town,
Yeah.
I mean, really say that. That sounds douchey to say that. Like, what do you tell people that you do?
I think I just tell him I'm a real estate investor, man. But I've never even thought about that. I think I just tell him I'm a real estate investor, to be honest. But like you said, I mean, okay, so I told him I did before was a consulting executive, same company, 25 years, very proud of the career. Police officer because I wanted to give back to local community. Kind of found to do them both full time without telling anybody because I just kept my world separate. And was a federal agent in the military for 22 years. And then the real estate thing that started at age 21 because, as you said, I just had this notion of freedom. I didn't understand not be in control of my time, and that meant in the form of investing in real estate. I randomly picked up some books. I went to the library, and I just started buying. I was 23 at the beginning of the boom back in the 2000 time frame. Made 30 grand on one deal in equity in 2 months. Asked my father what that was, and he was like, "Yo, you just made 30 grand." What? I went to the library. There was no Google. There was no Yahoo. I sat at the library, read 10 books, and by the end of the year, I had bought maybe 10 more properties when I was 23 or 24. So that's
Wow.
started, and it has now culminated in me being 46, out of the W-2, retired from all 3 careers in the last retired. So that's a great thing, and I will never go back. And I'm very focused on real estate, but more so focused on living extremely well, the way that you guys know that I like to live.
Yeah, we're joking around about this before I want to get into this real quick. You have your mail digitized. What does that?
Yeah.
What does that mean for our listening audience?
So I'm a Tim Ferriss, if you will, right? 4-hour work week. I learned that one of the best things you can do for a freedom lifestyle is to outsource everything, some personal perspective, and to also employ tools such that you are not grounded in one place. So for me, Matt and Greg, to get our mail, we got to go get mail. So what I do is I have a PO box. I use something mail. They can pay me for this plug, and the everything goes to PO boxes for businesses and for personal life.
Okay.
And I can just log in online. I see what's going on, shred, store, forward that to me, and if a check comes, there's an automated process that says we recognize a check, send it to that bank, and it will automatically deposit. So
Nice.
it's a good system, so you're not grounded anywhere.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's that was such a lot for me too, because it just I don't know that I've implemented a lot of the same specific things, because that book was so much around building a product-based business, and I ended up going into service. But all the principles that were in that book are what gives me. I mean, essentially, like my agency is the 4-hour work week. I
Yes.
spend Tuesday mornings in meetings, and we keep the agency going. I meet with clients, we do all that, and the rest of the time is kind of my own to do what I want with. So
There you
I
go.
did it in a roundabout way. But man, that was a huge life-changing book for me too. And of course, I've got a virtual assistant in the Philippines that screens
There you go.
handles my calendar, and yeah, a lot of those same things. So I love that. So that was a
Yeah.
changer for me too. So my other question for you, just on the background, real, we'll dive into some more of those specific. But you're running a full-time job as a consulting executive. Running, you said you're working full-time hours as a cop at night, and this is, I think, the federal military. Okay, so my question is, because you're investing also, when did you sleep? What the hell, man? Are you are you one of those people? Because here's what I found, especially when you're on an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you only have a certain number of hours of like your best men. And I'm
Yeah.
guessing, like, being a consulting executive, that's got to pull. I mean, you got to have 4 to 6 hours of good execution a day. Then you're going and doing something else at night that's also maybe physically demanding, and doing some real estate investing, which are some of the best mental efforts. So my question, I guess, is more just how did you keep your energy levels going so that you could maintain that kind of pace for that long?
Because it all had a purpose. That's how I kept the energy going. Purpose was freedom. I knew that doing all this stuff. So let me back up 1 second. We talked about freedom principles. There's 5 in general: financial freedom, time freedom, freedom of purpose, what you are intended to do on, and then freedom to build meaningful relationships, which to do with networking. Purpose. When I got back from being deployed for 9/11, because I was a reservist a lot. When I got back and I was a federal agent running field offices all over the world, I was helping a lot of people. So when I got back and you stick me back into a corporate office where my job is to increase revenue for a company, I was like, man, this not going to work. So I purposefully I wanted to be a meaningful part of my local community. I talked to my boss about it. I was about me and take 80% salary pay cut to just go be a street cop because I wanted to be part of community. That boss who I just saw for the first time in 10 years about 2 months ago, he's like, no, we're going to find a way for you to do both. We never told anybody because I was going against HR policies and all that crap. Went to police academy. I would log on for regular work at 3 o'clock after police academy. I'd work until I couldn't work anymore, and then I would take time off to all manifested in 5 hour. It all manifested in 5 to 6 years of full time being a cop at night, and I would sleep in the cracks. And in answer to your question, the way that I did it is because I had a purpose. I just found ways to get it done. And for the real estate hustle, it was 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. for the most part. If you work 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., that's 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month, 960 hours a year. Created 5.14 weeks. Add one more 4 hour session on the weekend, you've 7 weeks. People are not, excuse me, 8 weeks, I think. People can create time to do what's important to them if they have purpose. If you're just doing it just to do it or just to make money, it's fleeting and it won't last forever.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You know, one of my good friends, his name is Jake Wolf. He's a ex-military guy as well, and he works like you. He works incredibly long hours, and what he does, he takes what he calls safety naps. So he'll work and then take like a
Yes.
safety nap for like 4 hours, and then he's back at it. So he's 20 hours a day deep into this stuff. And I think a lot of folks they're just soft, and I don't mean that in a bad way. They're just soft. They don't know the word of hard work. And I would love you to break that down a little bit, because you've created an empire for yourself and for your family and for your legacy and everything else. You weren't going out to the clubs, drinking, doing the drugs, getting crazy, chasing the girls. You're like, no, my family, my time, my business, my income. And now I'm not sure if that's the right order, but you understand where I'm going with this, right?
Wait,
So walk me through that.
Yeah, it's called entrepreneurial depression. I talk about it quite a bit. I felt alone.
Yep.
When the fellas was, I was doing termites, tenants, and toilets and painting. It was, it was. I'm having flashbacks now, just like dealing with consulting customers during the day, and then chasing burglars out of people's houses at night, and then sleeping for 1 hour, and then getting my kid up for school, getting him to school, sleeping for 1 hour again, waking up doing consulting, sleeping during lunch, getting back up. It was. I look back on it now and I wonder how the hell I sustained that. My immediate family was aware. The one thing that I didn't do, let me make this clear. So, okay, midnight patrol officer. So it's my responsibility to keep my shift mates safe. So if I was extremely tired, I use my vacation strategically. I never really use it for vacation. It's to sleep. You know what I mean? That's just how I did it. But I wanted to be out on the road. You guys have no idea people that I and the pleasure impacting their lives in a positive way by being a street cop. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. But to your question, Greg, it sucked, dude.
Yeah.
It absolutely sucked. And I look back on it now, and it was all the foundation, especially the real estate stuff, because it was all single family at the time. You know what I did? I took all that salary, I bought condo, and then I would take cash flow from one condo plus my salary, pay off the first one.
Yep.
Then it would snowball to the second, and press repeat for 15 years. And I found myself in 2014 with 18 paid off homes, 160 grand of money coming in without working. And I still worked because I had purpose behind it. And that gave me the foundational drive for what I do today, which is buy apartment complexes and all that stuff. You will go ass backwards stuff when there is a purpose and it really mattered to you. And mine was freedom, being in control of my time. Didn't necessarily at work. If I got promoted in the military or consulting as an outcome of me doing good, but I was never chasing a title because I knew I could just take the money from work, invest it in real estate, and that real estate would pay me, and I'd eventually be here with Matt and Greg talk about how I did it. So
You know what?
it sucked. I was depressed, but here I am.
It sounds like you have real estate PTSD. And you know what? the funny thing is about that is that my when it comes to sleeping and vacations and everything else, my dad, when he started 53 years ago doing real estate, when we would go on vacation and we were broke as shit, like we couldn't fucking afford anything. Like we got a Nintendo for all three of us kids, and that was the greatest gift on earth. That's the only thing my parents could afford. But my dad, what he did, and I think this is what you did, and correct me if I'm wrong, when he would work, he would be up and out of the door by 5 or 6 in the morning. He wouldn't come home to 10 or 11 at night. When we went on vacation, he would sleep for 3 to 4 days straight.
Yeah.
And then he would get up and he would move forward. He got so stressed out, he started bleeding from his eyes on 2 different occasions. Like his retinas detached. Like he was freaking his marbles out. It sounds like a lot of agents, and so maybe this is something that you went through. They put a priority on their career, not their life. and you decided to go from career to living and being free from those chains that most humans, which we don't even know that we're constrained by, but we are constrained by. And once you see them, you release them, and that gives you like for you, when you were saying geographical freedom, that resonated with me big time, because I've been doing this for 22 years, and I freaking hate being locked down to one location. I absolutely freaking hate it. And you release yourself. Yeah.
The definition, Greg, about it, man. And by the way, my daddy was a school teacher. Well, first of all, he made it out of Haiti with nothing, but he was a school teacher and then eventually a principal in the Boston public school system for 30 years.
Nice.
Hard. My hero, it will always be that way. I don't care what in the media or whatever. My dad is my hero.
Right.
He was 62, and he's fine. But my dad, quote unquote, retired at 46, whatever that means. And he said, you did it 17 years earlier than me, so I feel successful as a father.
That's awesome.
My father's definition of success is what the school system's definition of success was. Sit in your desk, look forward, say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, get it right. Me compete against Greg and Matt. I gotta be the valedictorian. I gotta be P. I gotta be prom king. All that crap. Go to school. Now we gotta do the same shit in the work environment. I gotta be the executive VP. I gotta be the CEO, etc., etc. No, along that traditional journey does someone say, hey, how about the goal of actually being free so you can explore this planet and plug into what the Lord intended you to plug in? Nowhere do they teach us about entrepreneurial endeavors, passive income, buying assets for the long term. Nowhere. Education is fine, but self-education is what will free you, period. So I understand that people push for those things, Greg, but I don't blame anyone. One, if that's your purpose, to be the CEO of a company, go balls to the wall. Do it if that makes you happy. But people are doing fault. And that's a lot of comes from it. A lot of keeping up with the Joneses comes from it. Somewhere along the line, I was able to educate myself that there was a different result that I wanted. And that's where I am today. I've achieved that result.
The funny thing is you say that. When I was growing up, this is a funny story. Yeah. I always wanted to have the biggest house, the most expensive car, the prettiest wife, all the trappings that the movies make you think that you need, right, in life.
Yep.
I have come to the conclusion that that is completely BS. And like you're saying, freedom is the ultimate thing. So all the TV shows, everything that everybody shows you, their number one thing, underlying cause for doing this is what you've achieved, and that is freedom. Now, it can mean anything to anybody, but once you achieve and identify that, you are the happiest human being on God's green earth. And I think that's important for people to hear because, go get the Lambo, go get the big house, go get the hot wife or husband, go, buy $1 billion worth of real estate, or go operate an ice cream stand in South America and make $10 a day, but you live on the beach and eat free seafood. What does freedom look like for you?
I think we just heard Greg's dream.
Hence the travel. Dating someone from Brazil in my 20s, and I would go down to Brazil all the time. Between 2002 to 2008, I think I was in Brazil 40 times.
Wow. Damn,
every
seriously?
weekend. No doubt. So much so I speak Portuguese. It's crazy.
Matt,
but every single weekend.
I cannot.
Every single weekend, the entire neighborhood where I would hang out in Via Velha would go to the beach and have a churrasco, a barbecue. They would make some equivalent of $300 a month working for the privilege with family at the end of the week to go have a churrasco. And they were the happiest people I've ever seen. The happiest people I've ever seen. I understand where we are up here struggling for $100,000 salaries and a Mercedes. It's ass backwards. And then we buy more and more stuff because of what we see on TV. We can look a certain way, but yet you got to pay that stuff. So now you got to go to work more. And then just the cycle continues. So as I'm talking to you guys, I'm looking at my 2005 Infinity outside that has 170,000 miles on it. I can go buy 10 Mercedes cash right now. It does nothing for me. Nothing. Now, if somebody wants it, I get it. But I'm just trying to make a point of that definition of success has been messed up and is embedded in people's heads different. However, I do think in this Internet 3.0 environment, the new generations are starting to catch on to what actually makes sense, which is movement, mobility, having some cash flow coming in, working your own gig. Standard employers are struggling to get people now because there's just awareness of a different way of living.
They really are. They really are. My parents, and I'm gonna let Matt jump in because I've been hogging the mic here, but I gotta tell this one story. Goes back to your Infinity, right? That's sitting outside.
Yeah.
My dad has a 2005 Denali, has, I don't know, a trillion miles on it. They live in a multi-million-dollar home. He has a lot of cash in the bank, but nobody ever knows it, right? One of their friends, this is the crazy part, one of their friends a number of years ago, the mister of that other couple, his father passed away. And they were like, oh, dang, Dad, I miss you. I love you. And so he had a will. So they went and sat in the will. And this is the type of guy that he drove an old pickup, wore overalls, and like just went to the same diner and met his buddies, just a good old boy, right? Went in there, he was worth $300 million.
Oh my God.
$300 million.
I love him.
Okay.
Yeah, and nobody knew about it because, like, what you're building is you're building generational wealth, not fast cash, and there's a big difference.
Huge. And not much to say on that except yes. My purpose now is legacy. My purpose now is to be the generation breaker for my family. Yeah. My oldest is autistic, high functioning autistic, so my youngest has a responsibility to him and to whoever comes up behind us generationally to do stuff. So, why the hell is a Haitian immigrant kid from Boston over in Cyprus doing real estate deals? Why do I own land on a Mediterranean island now? Legacy. I already have enough money to live. I live off like $6-7 grand a month. That's it. I just don't need a lot. But the reason I push so hard on Quattro Capital, the firm that I started in the US, or my overseas ventures, is just legacy at this point. That guy is. We should all strive to think like that. So.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to send you my routing number and account number if you want to kick over some of the cash you're not using. It's totally cool. I mean, I won't hold it.
I'm just thinking, man, if I had I might buy some new overalls. I'm just saying. Enjoy some along the way. Okay, so here's an interesting question for you. So you're in a very interesting place, and I'm not as far advanced financially, but the business that I built puts me in a similar position, which is this. You have loads of free now that you're out of the W2 world. Did you have any hangover where you come off of that, just the go, and all of a sudden you don't have to, and all of a sudden you have way more free time than you used to, and you don't have as much stuff necessarily right there into, and I guess maybe you replaced it right away. Did you right away, or did you have a hangover period where you kind of were like, where you crashed after that many years of being at that hectic pace?
Great question.
Dude, it was weird. It still is. No, it's not weird anymore. I've gotten over it. But so the last big thing I left in W2 was October 31st of 2021. On November of 2021, I was still looking for their email. On November 15th of 2021, I was still looking for their email. Identity, I didn't realize how much my identity was wrapped up in them as well. Check this out. I didn't realize how full my brain was with other people's missions and problems. I had no idea.
Back that up for a second. I think that you're going to skirt over that because you've already gone through this. But with other people's identities and their problems, we get so caught up in that mindset. I would love to go deeper on that because that is something that is really a complex.
I'm assuming that was your consulting gig, right? Is that what you're referring to, Maurice?
Well, consulting and top. and I'm a military guy, but by nature. I got a military scholarship to go to college, hence I stayed in 22 years. Like I just execute other people's missions my whole life, and when all those missions went out of my head, it took about 2 months. I started to become a very creative person, really creative. So it's not that I had a hangover; it's that I was going through this weird depression of stuff oozing out of my head. I'm not even being facetious here. It was, I'm doing something for 25 years and all of a sudden it's gone. You have to now flip to a state of being. That's what I went through. But I didn't miss the work. And now it's, what are we, 6 months? I don't remember it. I don't feel it.
Oh,
Couldn't
wow. That's interesting.
possibly go back. I could never possibly go back to any of that stuff.
Yeah, so the reason I asked that question is I'm just thinking more in terms of, because I'm sure you're noticing this just that relentless quest for freedom is like in the culture, in the zeitgeist to an extent. Like more people are talking about it. It's going to be interesting what happens when people actually get a hold of it. So it's like you talk about 5 freedoms. I think once people get the time, location freedom and a little bit of the financial freedom from things like freelancing and, kind of going out on their own in the business world, they're going to run smack dab into, okay, now what? And you've already kind of crossed that bridge a little bit with the other freedoms. Yeah.
I had the benefit of building real estate along my W-2 journey. So crashed at the end of the W-2 journey, I already had a business built to go right into and a process to go right into. What has manifested since, I'm fine business-wise. Where I'm not fine is philanthropy-wise. I am learning how to give money away as a career, right? This Christmas, I'm in Lebanon a lot. This Christmas, I was in Lebanon going door to door with the priest of a family that I know. He's a flock of his community, and he knew people that need surgery to remove a cancerous tumor, need a hip replacement. They have nothing. And my version of philanthropy is, how do I make a needle for a family in one day? That's my thing. How do I do that? I don't want to do an organization right now. I don't want any of that stuff. I went door to door and I blessed like 5 families. We're paying for your pancreatic cancerous tumor to be removed. We're paying for your hip surgery and recovery. I do my days with, I must do real estate, I must grow wealth because I must hit my goals, and that's now how I fill my calendar. I think there is a danger in not having anything in your calendar. Direction mind will go to weird places, is what I honestly believe. So I have found a way to direct my energies, along with, lastly, mental and physical health for my my body when I'm in my 70s. So I am probably as strong as I've ever been at 46. I could probably run circles around my 25-year-old self.
So you said manifest multiple times in this, and I don't think a lot of people understand how to like your brain and your mindset. You're literally like Amazon on steroids. You can get everything you want if you put energy behind it, right?
Yes.
And so you went for freedom. You have freedom. Now you put your energy towards be a philanthropist and going out there and blessing and serving additional human beings that need something they can't have, but you have the ability to serve them. You built that into your life, and I think that is something so incredibly powerful. I mean, for me, and I know for Matt, I mean, we've both of us and all 3 of us in our lives at points we have never sat there and tried to manifest something because we tell ourselves, I can't do it. I won't do it. It can't come to me. I'm not smart enough. You tell yourself these negative stories, right?
Yeah.
Once you shift that narrative, like you did, and you are doing, all of a sudden, incredible things flow into your life that there's no way you could ever possibly imagine happening because you're thinking, imagining, and meditating on what you want. Like right now, I'm driving my dream car. Dude, it's a Jeep SRT 2014. I love this freaking car. This thing eats pavement for a living. And I have to pay for it.
Nice.
Damn thing costs $1 billion to fill up. But I manifested it down to the rotor colors that I wanted in
Yeah,
the
you did.
car, the interior. Matt's been in the vehicle. He knows exactly the beast that I'm talking about. Manifestation, no matter where you are in life, if you sit there and you meditate on it, it is going to change your existence. What was that shift for you? When were you down to like $2 to your name? Were you up $1 billion to your name? Did you go through a breakup? I mean, what was that breaking point where you're like, that's it, enough of the bullshit. This is where I want to go, and then you just focused on it because people need to hear these kind of wonderful, incredible, empowering stories.
I got two things. I'm just going to go with the things that naturally popped into my head. One
Sure.
was the thing I told you about when I was 15. My dad gave it, showed me that there is a different that the world is a lot bigger than where we lived, and it's for me. And I was unwilling to just stick to Boston or DC or I love Boston, DC, New York, but I got to see and feel other things. So that was the first thing. The second thing that popped into my head was, which is an example of manifestation. Call it the law. In 2015, I was running a federal law enforcement field office, special agent charged in Western Turkey in a city called Izmir. Fell in love with the region. If Turkey, you're on the Mediterranean. I don't know what it was, man, but I felt at home so much so that I would just cry for no reason. I would just, in 6 years old at the time, I said, I'm going to live in this region. I don't care how long it takes me. I have to do. I'm going to live in this region or at least spend a significant amount of time in this region. And the way that it has manifested, because I always pay attention and I always tell people what I am thinking if they are accepting of those types of conversations. I found someone who lives in Cyprus, who's the husband of someone I graduated from college with. He's in real estate. Cyprus is in the Mediterranean. He's a bi-country guy. He's a U.S. citizen and Cypriot citizen. Met him on Zoom. I said, I'm going to be at your house in 3 weeks. I never wait for opportunity. I just flew to his house in Cyprus. We are now business partners and the best of friends and working on our third and maybe fourth real estate development deal on the island. And I am now a businessman in the Mediterranean and building my house there. I spent probably 50% of my time there. Yeah, like that. There's no, you couldn't even offer me $5 million of salary to live that way, right? So whatever it is that makes people happy, and manifestation doesn't always work. I tried out for the NFL, I didn't make it. Okay, well, shit, you gave it a good shot. But man, whatever it is you want on this planet, please go try and do it. Please talk about it. Please take your energy towards that direction. We only have 28,000 days on this planet. We have got to do the things that we need to do.
You know, I tried out for the NBA as well, but I talked to a doctor, and I was diagnosed with a serious disease. It's called white man, and no ups. And so I was rejected.
I got you. Don't worry, I'm black. And I had no
You couldn't
speed.
take
The
your
NFL was like,
6-inch.
nah.
You couldn't take your six. Hey, Greg. You are a
more
large
like
human being.
6 inches.
Greg is 6'5" or 6'6" or something. He could have been a decent point guard. Okay. All right, Maurice. We could keep you for another 8 hours, but we got to let you go because I know your time is limited. So, what's the things that you most want people to connect with you on? I know you mentioned your fund, your Quattro Capital, and stuff like that. Obviously, investors should connect with you there. Just for the people that want to connect with you over your message and freedoms and things that you stand for and the impact that you want to make, what's the best place for them to go and get connected?
I think the best place is actually LinkedIn. I am unapologetically talking about freedom principles every single day. Yes, I do. Real estate is just a tool to get financial freedom. There's many other tools, but the other freedom principles, time freedom, geographic freedom, having mobility, executing on your purpose. If you're an attorney and you do immigrants' rights and you get 60 grand a year and you love it, I think you're freer than the attorney who. So executing on your purpose. And just like my friend in Cyprus, because he helped me create my next chapter. Intentionally go after new. I stuff on LinkedIn a bit and respond to it, every single one. And then I coach on those things. So if that's of interest to people, and then from perspective, Quattro Capital is my firm. I'm not soliciting investors. I'm fine. But in real estate or any other asset class, it gives you options because you're generating passive income, you're generating equity that you can use to then create something later. You don't need $20 million in a bank. You just need more passive income than you have monthly expenses. It's a very that's it. If you've got $7,000 a monthly expenses and you can generate $1,000, you're free. So I help people do that through Quattro Capital and kind of coach them through it. And then Instagram is just Maurice Philogene. That's where, lifestyle pictures of me all over the world and why. And even this morning, I was up at 3:30 to get to the gym by 4. I talk about that stuff there.
Love it.
Yeah, I already hit you up on Instagram. I was looking at your stuff. I'm like, damn, this fool has a lot of cool photos.
Thanks, Greg.
Well, that's what happens when you spend half of the year in Cyprus.
Yeah.
Some beautiful, beautiful photography. All right, Greg, let's wrap it up. So for us, for the podcast, make sure to leave us a review and a shout out. So when you leave a review, every podcaster reads all their reviews. It's the best way to show somebody that you appreciate them, and especially when you give the shout out to the guest, it also shows us who you appreciate, who you like to listen to, like what types of guests that we should bring more into the show. So it's a great way to give us some feedback too. Yeah. So make sure to do that. And then Greg, what's the best way to connect with you?
Guys, go ahead and, as always, give me a call on my phone. I pay my bill at least every 1 to 6 months. It doesn't matter, but the phone still rings. Go ahead and give me a call at 925-915-1978, or hit me up on Instagram, Greg McDaniel, REU, or Facebook at Greg McDaniel. Best way. Matt, I heard you wrote an amazing book. What would that book be, and how can they get a copy of that?
I blog and talk about all the things related to entrepreneurship and expertise and influence and all that fun stuff. And then if you sign up for the mailing list there, you actually get a free digital copy of the book. Maurice actually got himself a physical copy that I sent him because he's super special. So that's only available if you meet me personally or if you go. All right. So Greg,
by the way, Maurice.
Yes, sir.
I've been doing business with him for 6 years and going. You're the only one on this show that has an actual physical book. You're beating me. Dang it.
Great.
Say, Greg got the digital version. He's not worth the postage.
Okay, and Matt has to leave the show. Everybody say goodbye to Matt.
Let's tie a little bow around this episode in honor of the shirts we're all wearing. Let's make it blue. Looks like Greg is on board with us here. He's got a blue shirt on, so let's tie a blue bow. Let's wrap this episode up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We love you more than you actually freaking know. We could not do this show without you. Please go to everywhere that you guys listen and watch podcasts and or YouTube videos. Give us a 5-star, not a 2-star review. Hashtag Maurice, hashtag Matt, hashtag myself. And if you guys like the content, reach out to all of us. We're here to serve and bless and prosper every single one of you. We're not here to hoard our information. We're here to give our information to each and every one of you. Maurice, you're way cooler than Matt. Matt, you're cooler than me. I love this show. And at that tone, peace out, ninjas. We gone.
Take care.